get a new game. Not the little character ones, but the electronic ones.
Yeah.
And they'd all come over and they'd set up the computer, and then they would play for hours on end. But then, if it was one of those big nights with a new game and hours on the computer, Alex would sleepwalk. So it was like all this stuff was happening, all the excitement of killing the baddies and running away and, you know, all that you do on those games. But it was only in the mind. So it was like he then had to play it out in his body. It was amazing. I used to see that phenomenon in him. I felt this kind of wrongness around the work I was doing since about 2014, and gradually realised that there was this systemic problem, you know, that this idea of using meditation or particularly secular mindfulness as a tool to make people more efficient, more and more that made me feel uncomfortable. But it's probably really only in the last year that I started looking for new systems, new ways of doing things. And this idea that everything's instrumentalised, that from people to trees to animals, everything only has a sort of monetary value, and people working in the new economy and in other areas are coming together to try and challenge that sort of capitalist way of understanding reality. And that's where I first became aware of it and first thought, you know, what can I do to help? I use a sort of metaphor of these rivers and floodplains. There's our inner world that's like an inner river of experience that's been built up through, you know, right from when we were, probably before we were born. This river runs through us, and in a sense we also look through it, you know, it's kind of almost like a lens at the same time. You know, we look through this patterning at the world. The example I gave before of reacting to something that somebody said and then not feeling so good about that, reflecting on why I reacted and then realising that it came from an old pattern of mine that relates to feeling like an outsider. So some of that goes quite a long way back into my childhood, where, you know, we lived quite separately from others. We didn't have many people come to our house or anything like that. So that, I think, was where it started. As young kids, we saw that our friends used to have lots of people in their house and got quite used to, you know, interacting with people and comfortable with that, whereas we didn't have that so much. So I think that's where it started for me. And then, you know, being having a child very young and not being married, I think that was another part of feeling, you know, not a part of the norm. And I was a working artist for many years, and unless you're a successful working artist, that can also feel like you're really not a part of the norm. You know, you're not fitting in, you're not making a lot of money or any money from your work. You're not getting this feedback from society that you're doing well financially or materially. So I think there's been a number of parts of my life that have led to me feeling like I am not a part of the norm. I don't fit in. And so if somebody says something to me, possibly without meaning to, it can sometimes, I can react to that in a way that's not that useful. But yeah, if normal is being married and having 2.5 children and living in a house and having 2 holidays a year and a home down south, then, and 2 cars or maybe 3 cars, then I'm not that. I believe like you say, everybody has patterns laid down through experience. And this is why I think it's so important to talk about the relevance of that part of ourselves. And it's not just the psychological stuff. You know, we have an inner world going on all the time that's made up of our physical, emotional, affective or emotional, cognitive and transpersonal and intersubjective experience. We have this going on in our inner plane all the time. This is impacting us internally, it's impacting others through the way we engage with them. But for me to start thinking, you know, what might I do that would be useful in the last period of my life? And I'm hoping this will be useful. You never know when you head out on a path, you know, it might not be the right thing.
No, so yeah, I know what you mean. But I think it